Need some coins for that God Squad you've always wanted? For fast and cheap coins, check out instantmudcoins.com and use code ZERK for 20% off. Link is in the description.
The whole thing wobbin', wobbin'. When I come around, got the whole thing wobbin'.
What's going on, guys? It's Zirksee coming at you today with another YouTube video, and today I'm doing a video that I've seen a ton of you guys requesting me to do. I am going to try and predict the 50 first team players. Probably not going to get a lot of them correct, but I guess we'll see. Now, I do want to give a shout out to Mike Warren for being a part of the Noda Gang. If you guys want a chance to be shout out in the next video, drop a like in the vid, make sure you guys are subbed to the channel, turn the notification bell on, and comment down below Noda Gang. So I'm going to let you guys know what I do know currently about the 50 promo. So what we do know is that this promo is 50 total players. We only got 23 with these past 6 releases. Now, we don't know exactly if they're going to drop like a ton of players on this upcoming Friday or how they're going to do it, but some things I want to mention to you guys is that this promo is going to last a while. Like, this promo is still going to run until, I believe, sometime in January, more than likely, like mid-January, end of January. It is going to be ending around there, so just about any player currently in the game is eligible to be added to this promo. Even make some legends potentially that got added like in the past couple weeks, they could still see an upgrade because this promo's not gonna end for like 2 more months. Basically, any player still on the table except for these players right here on your screen you guys are seeing, because there's 23 of them for the second team and we have the first team. So my guess here, guys, is that with the 50 first team, we're going to be getting a little bit bigger name players. Now, obviously, like LaDainian Tomlinson, these guys, like, these are big name players, but I think this is where EA is really going to bring in like that super hype players, and it is going to be absolutely insane. So I put together a list of 27 players. I know I'm not going to be correct on all of them, of course. I'm just not. You're not going to get the 27 players correctly on a prediction video, but we will see how many I get correct. I'm hoping to hit at least half of these. I think I'll honestly hit at least half. I mean, I guess we'll come back and see once the 50 is all done with. But with that being said, let me know down below who you guys want to see in the promo. Let's get in the list. Oh, before we get into the list, actually, let me go ahead and show you guys this. This is basically a team put together over on Mudhead of the players that came out with the 52nd team. So you guys can see there is a big gap there at offensive line. We also don't have a fullback, but we got 2 quarterbacks, 2 halfbacks, 3 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, 2 left tackles, which is interesting, and a left guard. And then defensively, you guys can see right here, we did get a safety for each. We got a right inside linebacker, 2 middle linebackers, no left inside linebacker, and no right end. We got 2 left ends, a DT, and 3 corners. So I just wanted to go over that before we actually got into the legends, so you kind of know exactly the loadout, I guess, or like the lineup that EA decided to go ahead and make there. Maybe that will be similar with the 50 first team, and also they'll try to fill some of those gaps. But at quarterback, of course, I mean, I think this one's pretty obvious, right? Has to be Michael Vick. If there's any quarterback that is, you know, one of the best players ever in Madden, it's Michael Vick. Very simple. Next up, though, let's fill some of these offensive lineman positions, and I think at center, we are probably going to see Bruce Matthews. At left guard, I believe we'll probably see Randall McDaniel, and I do just want to mention here that with these offensive lineman ones, they're kind of hard to predict because, like, they could go with a lot of different old linemen that have gotten legends over the years, and I will say as well that they may end up going with players that maybe haven't been in Madden for a couple of years, so maybe I won't have them on the list. But at right guard, I think this one makes, you know, perfect sense here. Larry Allen, he is most definitely one of the best right guards in Madden history. As for who else could they go with, I'm not really too sure. Maybe like a Marshall Yonder or something, but Larry Allen makes sense. Now, right tackle, I feel like it could be Jonathan Ogden, but I do want to mention this because I feel like, if I remember correctly, people were actually upset at EA for putting Jonathan Ogden at right tackle for the NFL 100 because I think that for the most part he played left tackle. You guys can let me know down below if I'm wrong by saying that, but I believe for the most part in his career he played like left tackle, and EA put him at right tackle for the NFL 100, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them put him here for the 50. Now, I do believe we're going to see at least 1 fullback, maybe 2 fullbacks. I think it's a pretty obvious pick here between Franco Harris and Christian Okoye. I feel like they could go with either one, but one of those 2 I feel like has to get the 50 player if they're going to do a fullback, and I think it's probably going to be Franco. And of course, you guys saw this one coming. Randy Moss at wide receiver. How can Randy Moss not get a 50 card? And the same thing goes for Calvin Johnson. Really, when I think of the most hyped up Madden players, the players that I know EA wants to do because they're going to sell packs, and in general, they are some of the best Madden players ever, the top 2 wide receivers that I instantly think of in terms of Madden dominance are Calvin and Randy. But as for the final wide receiver, I actually think we're going to get Brian Finneran. Now, Brian Finneran already confirmed earlier this year over on Twitter that he is in Madden this year. So he already confirmed that they have his rights. They can give him a card if they want to. And I think it makes sense to give Brian Finneran the 50 player because it just makes perfect sense. The dude is 6'5", absolute monster. And it's kind of similar to Tyrone Calico because although Calico wasn't a super dominant NFL player, Brian Finneran actually was in the league a little bit longer than Tyrone Calico, and he's 6'5". A lot of people love Brian Finneran cards, and he used to be glitchy back in the day. And yeah, running back, I believe we are going to get a Barry Sanders. Now, this one has already been, I won't say confirmed necessarily, but if you guys remember, the first day the 50 was actually coming into the game, or it might have even been before the 50 actually came into the game, there was a loading screen in Madden, and it had the 50, and Barry was on it. So, Barry's going to be in this promo. And of course, what other running backs could we see? Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson is most definitely one of the best Madden running backs of all time. He's in basically every single Madden. It makes sense to get Barry. It makes sense to get Bo. And I think we may even see a third. And that third one I think we will see is going to be Walter Payton. I feel like that trio of running backs for the 51st team would be great. I know they only did 2 running backs in the second team, but I think that these 3 make sense. And of course, if we're talking about dominant tight ends, I think this one has to go to Rob Gronkowski. I really feel like Gronk has to be in the 50 for the first team, although I am not really a big fan of Gronk cards in Madden just because he's never the fast tight end in the game, and we always have players like Kittle, Evan Ingram, Darren Waller, those type of guys nowadays. Yeah, Gronk still deserves a card. And if they do go with 2 tight ends for the 51st team as well, I mean, there are a lot of tight ends they could potentially go with here. Kellen Winslow, Antonio Gates. I think it's going to be Tony Gonzalez. I think it makes sense for Tony and also for Rob Gronkowski. So that's it for the offense side of the ball. Now let's get into the defense, and at corners, let's start off with Champ Bailey. I think it makes sense for Champ Bailey here. He is always one of the more sought after corners in Madden, and he's always one of the faster corners, second to the next guy on the list. And that goes to Deion Sanders for always being, usually I will say the fastest corner in the game, maybe if there's a Darryl Green or whatever, but Deion Sanders obviously is the best cornerback in NFL history, and potentially the best cornerback in Madden history, and again, it makes sense for him to get a card as well. But I do believe they're going to be doing 3 cornerbacks, and you guys have no idea how badly I wanted to put Patrick Peterson on this list. I don't know why I wanted to put Pat Pete on this list so bad. I just want a new Pat Pete card, and Pat Pete has been a pretty dominant Madden corner, but let's be honest, it should be Night Train. Now, I really have no idea if they do have his rights, but if they do, a Luke Kuechly card would be incredible. Kuechly is one of those super dominant middle linebackers when it comes to Madden. He always has been, and I feel like it would be a great card. Although, yes, linebackers really are not that great this year. It'd be cool to see Kuechly back in the game. And of course, we can't talk about middle linebackers without throwing Ray Lewis into this conversation again. I don't really think that many people are going to be too excited about getting Ray Lewis and Kuechly, even if that was, that's a great middle linebacker duo. It's just a matter of how Madden 21 plays, but I think we could see Ray. Now let's get into the safeties, and I hope I am correct with this one. Free safety Calvin Johnson. It just makes sense, right? It just makes sense to get a free safety Calvin Johnson. If we are talking about the top 50 players in Madden history, there's nothing like a free safety Calvin. It also has to go for Sean Taylor as well. I would love to see these 2 at free safety with Sean Taylor and out of position Calvin Johnson. With the way that Madden plays this year, everybody would be using a free safety Calvin, a middle linebacker, I feel like. But as for strong safety, another Raven coming in here, Ed Reed makes perfect sense. And now let's get down to the D-line and the linebackers. At left end, another player I really hope that we see here, Julius Peppers. Julius Peppers is always one of the most sought-after defensemen in the game because he's always so fast. This card is from last year. You guys can see 88 speed, 92 excel, and a 96 overall. I love Julius Peppers cards because he's the perfect quarterback spy. And their right end, I'm going to go with Bruce Smith. I don't really feel like Bruce Smith is like one of those super sought-after right ends in Madden, just because we tend to have a lot of good right ends over there, like Aaron Donald, Deacon Jones, those guys, if we do again this year, but I think it should go to Bruce. And at DT, I think this spot surely should belong to Mean Joe Green. And finally, let's get into the outside linebackers, and we have Lawrence Taylor right outside linebacker. I mean, this is obvious, right? Very similar to Vic, Dion, Moss, Calvin, some of the most sought after, some of the most hyped up players every single year. LT. Now, if there is any play on this list that I am the least confident in, I think it is probably this one at left side linebacker, but I think Von Miller could get it. I think he could. I'm not super confident in this one at all. I will definitely admit that one. But I will say, when I think of left side linebackers and like dominant pass rushers, maybe they go with a coverage guy at left side linebacker, I suppose. But when I think of like dominant pass rushers at left outside linebacker, I really think of Von Miller for longevity here. Now, I know Mac has been super dominant as well, but I don't think that Mac could get the 50 player. I think we could see Von. Man, it's honestly really, really tough here, but when I think of like Madden 16, I think it was, I remember Von Miller in the playoffs getting the Team of the Week card. I think they faced the Patriots, and he had like an interception on Tom Brady, and then the next week he got Super Bowl MVP, and he got another card. 99 overall, Von Miller Super Bowl MVP. So I think it could potentially be Von. We'll see about that. But with that being said, guys, I hope you did enjoy the video. And if you did, make sure to drop a like on the video. And, of course, hit that sub button down below. These are the 50 first team player predictions. Let me know down below what you guys think. See you guys next time.